That night, Kobe went into the bathroom. You remember that night?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he said, Jay, stand by this door and don't let nobody up in here.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. I was checking out this podcast. It's called Byron Scott's Fast Break, and he had Derek Fisher on the show. And I'm about 34 minutes in, and they start talking about load management, and it was sounding pretty interesting. So I wanted to just kind of stop and listen to what these old dudes have to say about load management, and especially Derek Fisher, because he's been coaching for a while, and I know currently he's coaching in high school. I think he coached WNBA for a while, so I know he's still plugged in with the current ways of, and he probably has some insight about load management that we don't know. But apparently they're going to be talking about Kobe as well, so I figured, let's check this out together. So anyways, as I always do, I'm going to link the original video down below in a description so you can check it out. The Byron Scott podcast, Byron Scott's Fast Break. I mean, I've only caught a couple of his pods, but they're pretty cool. They're pretty chill and laid back, good conversations. So I'll link that down below for you guys. Everybody else, please leave a like to this video and kick back. This might be about a 30-minute one. Let's see how it goes. All right. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. These are all subjective things, so I'm not against it. I was a guy that played every night. But my body type was different. I could play every night. I wasn't above the rim. I wasn't doing all the things that these guys are doing now. So I do think it's different. I think sometimes the performance team, medical team is making the decision, and the coaching player is almost like out of it.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that
if
too.
Kevin Durant wants to play, the question is, should he be allowed to play because he wants to play, not because you're telling him he can't play.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And when it comes to a guy like Kawhi Leonard, what's your guys' take? Is it the trainers that are preventing him from playing, or is it Kawhi himself who's refusing to play? Because I only know from when it was in San Antonio. Apparently he was cleared by all trainers, but he refused to play. And I'm not sure if that continued on into his Clippers days now or not. Let me know what your guys' take are.
I think that's where people sometimes, there's kind of a misalignment in what load management really means. Like, is the team deciding, or is the player making the decision? And when should the player be free to make that decision on his own or her own? And the team, almost like kids, right? As basketball players, we're like kids sometimes.
Yeah.
If our coaches or our parents don't protect us from ourselves, we'll just run till we can't run no more.
Right. Just to put this to bed, and I'm gonna ask you this question. So, given the opportunity, you played 19 years in the league. If you were still playing today, and coach came to me and said, "I was your coach," I said, D, you've been playing 35 minutes a game the last 10 games. No data, no nothing. I want to give you the night off tonight. You ain't got to play tonight. Knowing you the way I know you, and we go back to that competitive nature, that gladiator that we talked about, you going to tell me yay or you going to tell me nay? I'm good, coach.
Yeah, I would definitely say, no, I'm good, coach.
That's playing.
That's all I want to hear.
Yeah.
That's all I want to hear.
He going to play.
Yeah, that's that load management. Because, again, to me, and I agree with you, they got so much data they can understand. But I think a lot of guys are taking load management to a different level because they're taking nights off and they ain't practicing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my whole thing is I'd rather take practice off than a game.
Yeah.
In our
that would be like the Allen Iverson method. I mean, I know it's a big old meme nowadays and it's hilarious, but yeah, he didn't miss games. He was always there every single game, and that was the point he was trying to make. It was just he conveyed it in a very hilarious way in that press conference. We're not talking about the games. He's showing up to the games. He's giving it 100% in the games. We're talking about missing some practice. That's where you should load manage. I'm with Byron on this one.
In your day as well, we had a whole lot more pride in trying to play 82 games.
Yeah.
They don't have that same type of pride. or that same type of commitment. Maybe that's the word we should use.
They don't see it as an achievement.
And I think it's just kind of getting worse and worse for the league. And I think at some point in time they're going to have to do something about that, because again, you got the families that might have, 4 in the family, a mom and dad. He's got a boy and a girl that love basketball. They want to go see Steph Curry.
Yep.
And Steph Curry takes that night off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the image that I think will hurt the league more than help the league. So I think at some point in time, they're going to have to get this under control a little bit more and make some of our superstars, not make, but insist that, look, take tomorrow off in practice. Basically you play for the fans.
Yeah.
Because that's a vet anyway. Usually we talking about vets anyway. Somebody, Steph Curry, LeBron, AD, these guys have played for many, many years. So if they take a practice off, it's not going to hurt them come game time.
Yeah, I even hear that in Kobe's final years, after he had that torn Achilles and he wasn't quite physically the same, he wasn't missing games, but he was missing some practices, or at least taking it easy. I think that would be the best method. Have the guys still show up to the practice so they're there with the team, they're involved in everything, but physically take the day off. You know what I mean? Just relax, rest, get a massage, do whatever you got to do during that practice to get you ready for the next game. But don't miss the game, because it started with Jordan, and then Kobe kind of took the torch on it. But the whole mentality Jordan was conveying was, I'm not going to miss a game where, somebody's out there, these parents are working hard every single day trying to get their paycheck. And then, especially nowadays, they're going to dump like half of their paycheck or more, their weekly paycheck, to get the whole family to the basketball game. And then everyone is disappointed because LeBron James isn't playing, or Kawhi Leonard isn't playing, or whatever the star is of the team that they wanted to see. In his case was he knew he was a star, so he was like, I'm not going to break those families' hearts and not show up to the game when they paid good money to see me, and they showed up.
And like B said, there's not as much practice now anyway.
No.
Just due to the schedule, by not having the 4 and 5 nights or the 3 and 4 nights, and trying to limit the back-to-backs, then that spreads the games out where they literally are playing every other day. There is no day to practice.
Right.
Whereas sometimes if you would play 3 and 4 nights, then there would be maybe a 3-day stretch where you didn't have a game. And then you could have a couple of days of practice that then would kind of prepare you for that next week.
Yeah, so when we're talking about longevity nowadays, these guys are breaking down why. They're practicing less, the practices are less rigorous, and then they're also missing games. So that's way less of a constant load on the body. So of course, if you only drive a car in the city a couple of days a week and keep the oil changed and keep the gas up and whatever, you're maintaining it, that car can last forever, depending on the make, the make and model. But it'll sure as hell last a lot longer than a car that you're driving off road, 100 miles per day. Like, you're gonna destroy that car.
So those opportunities are missing at this point.
Yeah.
So the guys aren't practicing, and I think some of that also contributes to maybe some of the breakdown or bodies not being as prepared to handle the load of an NBA season.
Because you don't practice as much anyway.
You're not practicing, which helps to train your body to actually handle what comes in the game.
That's a good point. I think that's why we're seeing a lot more serious injuries nowadays.
Absolutely. And my last question to you is, you got to give us a KB story, a Kobe Bryant story. You spent 13, 14 years with that young man. And we know you know him better than all of us.
Yeah, they were tight.
Just as well, if not better. No, you know him better than all of us. You spent more time with him than both of us up here. So give us a KB story that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
And Byron Scott, real quick, he was in there as a player for the Lakers in the beginning of Kobe's career, and then he was there coaching Kobe at the very end of Kobe's career. So that's pretty cool. These two guys right here know Kobe better than anybody, I would say. And D Fish, he definitely spent the most years with Kobe. Besides, it's like him and Phil Jackson probably know him the best.
Man, it's so weird, bro. Like I still, like I know he's physically not here, but then there's days where I have to remind myself that he's not, because like we still feel his presence.
Yes.
Yeah. I still got friends like that too.
So sometimes when I'm like preparing my mind to like talk about him, I still have to. It hurts to say was.
Right.
Yeah.
It hurts to talk about it as
in
though he's not
in the past tense.
You know?
Yeah.
And for those of you who know, it is weird. It's always gonna be weird to talk about somebody you're very close with. I just did it myself. That you were very close with in the past tense instead of the present tense.
But I know it's okay. Like it's okay because he, which is what he was trying to inspire other people to do. Like he left this place physically, not having left anything on the table.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like we all, I'm sure there's a day he wishes he could have spent more time with his girls. Like that, maybe he regretted, he could have trained 5 minutes less and got home 5 minutes sooner one day. Okay. But he didn't waste his greatness, on not waking up early or not putting the work in or not stepping outside of his comfort zone and trying new things and becoming a writer or becoming a producer of content. And he didn't waste his greatness. So the basketball thing is whatever. Everybody kind of knows what he meant from a basketball perspective. We were having a conversation about like our families and the girls and that, because the 3 years I didn't play for the Lakers, we actually had to text and talk on the phone more than we did when we played on the same team, because we saw each other every day then. Like I didn't have to text him after practice because we had just spent 7 hours in the same building. We get there at 8 in the morning, we PT, lift, shoot, practice, cold tub, whatever. Like, all right, 3 in the afternoon, we out.
Right.
I don't gotta text you, bro. We've been together for 7 hours today.
No, that's how it is with like your coworkers. If you work in a physical building or something with your coworkers, you've seen them for 10 or 12 hours or whatever. It's like, all right, I don't have to check on you tonight. Like, see how your night was tomorrow.
But those 3 years we were apart, we would stay in touch and text but it always was, how's the family?
Yeah.
How the girls doing, how the kids doing, how you feeling, what's going on. And just like all families, at times there's trials and tribulations and difficulties and challenges. And I asked him a question about the family and what went into some of the decisions and how he was thinking about, raising his girls, being married, continuing to expand his family. And he said, what, Fish, like one of the things that I really had to start doing was I had to ask myself this question: how is the decision that I make today going to impact my girls 20 years from now?
Nice. Yeah.
And I had not, this is 2006, I had never heard, anybody put it that way. Obviously, there's a lot of people that talk about fatherhood and being a husband, but I had not heard it put that way. It was so clear and so laser focused. It wasn't just a throwaway thing. Like you could hear in his communication that he literally thought that and thinks that way about every decision that he was making. And that to me represented like just how his mind worked and how the side of him that people didn't really see all the time. They saw the Black Mamba, the assassin, the killer, but they didn't see the intentionality behind the way he parented, the way he fathered, the way he was a husband, the way he showed up for his girls to coach them in basketball, the way he, supported Gigi and became one of the first players to like really put the WNBA on, kind of like, if Kobe respected like that, then I guess the rest of us should respect it too.
Yeah, he really did.
That was all with the idea of like, how is this going to impact my girls 20 years from now?
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, he was making it cool. He was making it cool and laying that foundation, thinking, Gigi's going to make it in a WNBA someday, so it would be cool if they actually like get some attention and get some money by the time she makes it there. That's a damn good point.
And so that's, to me, like the brilliance of, how he approached everything, though. It kind of gives you a glimpse of like how the decision to wake up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. Right? Like, so that's the story that, to me, kind of puts it all in perspective.
It's one thing you said in that story that is so profound, because his last game, I was luckily enough, to be his coach.
Yeah.
And that last game against Utah when he had 60, and we brought it in, and, I said, Coach, the floor is yours, and he said, all he wanted these guys to understand is he left everything on that floor. He said, I have no regrets whatsoever because I left everything I had in my body on that floor.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what you were saying. The man just had a will, and he never wanted to ever look back and say, man, if I would have played a little harder, if I'd have did this. So I left everything on that floor. And I'll remember that for the rest of my life, because I'm standing there like, yes, he did.
Yeah. And we just watched that game recently over here on this channel. And that's the biggest takeaway I see. Yeah, it's an incredible performance, but he was beyond exhausted. And he pushed himself to a level that he knew 100% without a doubt, this is it. And you could see it in his body language, in his face. It's like he was in a real battle. And he just wanted to survive the battle and leave everything he had right there on the floor. And he did. And that's why I've never seen somebody so happy about retirement as Kobe Bryant. He walked away and he was so happy. He never had like an inclination to come back. He did the job, and he was able to move on because he really did leave it all on the table. And it was a really cool thing. I wish his retirement got to last a lot longer, unfortunately, though, because he was doing some cool things post-basketball.
Right, like we'll never see an athlete. I don't remember Tom Brady's numbers in the last game he played. I'm not comparing those two.
It wasn't close to 60 points in comparison.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
He'd have to throw like 6 touchdowns.
Kind of went out and enjoyed the celebration and the applause and it. Nah, he really went out there to
win.
Score 60.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Can I take you back? And, something Byron and I talked about was like some behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. So I want to take you back, flashback, behind the scenes. June 15th, 2008. This is game 5 of the NBA Finals. This is versus the Celtics. The series was tied 2-2 at the time, and we're at home. We were up 19 points in that game at one point. We were up 14 points in the fourth quarter. We took a L that night.
Mm-hmm.
That night, Kobe went into the bathroom. You remember that night?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he said, Jay, stand by this door and don't let nobody up in here. And literally, John Black, everybody. Where's Kobe? Where's Kobe? He's in the bathroom. Well, I need to go see him. Nope, can't come in here. Can't come in here. Everybody. I turned everybody away that night. What do you think was going through his mind that night?
I'm not sure what he was thinking at that moment, like us going down 3-1. Mm-hmm. I can only kind of speak from the perspective that I had of like losing in the finals in 2004 to the Pistons.
Yeah.
and then going 3 years not playing in the playoffs, not playing in the finals, like you start to wonder whether or not you're ever going to get that opportunity again. So then in 08, to then go from having a chance to be tied 2-2 and go up 3-2 with game 5 on your home court, you're not down 3-1. I would assume he was considering the fact that he may never get a chance to win that elusive next championship, that fourth one, that the one without Shaq, the one that, people questioning whether or not I can lead a team to a championship without Shaq.
And we all did that, by the way, back then. We all did it. Can Kobe win without Shaq? And he knew it, too. He knew that was the narrative.
Because Shaq was actually the one doing it, and people thought I was just Robin, and he was Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I want to show people that I can be Batman, but also bring people along, that it's not just about me. I would assume all of that was going through his mind. I hope the other thing that was going through his mind, because I know it was still going through my mind, is we talk about matchups.
No Byron, by the way.
Yeah,
he was injured.
In that series, I think a lot of the matchups, we were kind of trying to figure out the Rondo, Ray Allen kind of thing, and whether Kobe was going to chase Ray Allen or I should chase Ray Allen and then Kobe could guard Rondo on the ball. But Phil had decided that Jordan Farmer was going to be the Eddie House matchup.
Eddie House would light it up from deep, by the way. Played for my Suns, was lights out, and then same thing with the Celtics.
And so in that third quarter, we were up 15. They make a substitution early. Eddie House comes in. I go out. Jordan Farmer comes in. The next time I got in the game, we were down 4. So that's a minus 19. And as I'm sitting there, like I'm not, I'm where I'm from. You're not gonna go to the coach or
you don't question.
You're not gonna just go check in the game yourself.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean? Kobe could have done that, but I can't go just check myself, in the game. But that, like, I wonder if he was also thinking that. Why would we play that many minutes from the third quarter into halfway through the fourth quarter and have a minus 19 and Fish wasn't on the court with me? But I tell people all the time, there's certain things where I'm like, I wish he was here to put his
so we can talk
on it.
about this.
Yeah. 'Cause I would want to know, what exactly was he really feeling and thinking at that moment in time?
That had to be so frustrating for Fish too, because Kobe was the guy on that team, but Fish was in a weird way. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he was such a floor general that he was kind of the leader. Like he was. I don't know. I'm gonna take a lot of crap in the comments for calling him the leader, but I don't mean he led like he wasn't the star, but he was that solid guy who, like, emotional leader that would just keep everybody focused, keep everything calm in the most hectic situations they've ever been in. I always see D-Fish calm, and he's the only one I would ever see Kobe kind of look at. And D-Fish would kind of give him a nod or like another gesture to, so Kobe gave him that respect of, all right, we got to consider what D-Fish has to say about this. And that's when, if you think about it, that's where Kobe had all his success, was alongside Derek Fisher. And I'm not saying, Derek Fisher, it's not like he's putting up 30 points and 10 rebounds. He wasn't that dude, but he contributed in a different way, and he brought a lot of leadership in. Anyways, I'm ranting about leadership.
Interesting. So you coach in high school basketball now.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part? I think I know the answer to this. What's the hardest part coaching high school basketball?
Oh, yeah. This should be cool.
Unrealistic expectations of I would argue, parents before players.
That was my answer.
Parents.
It's parents.
Yeah.
It's the parents for me.
Yeah, I would argue it's the, and I don't even want to say unrealistic desires, right? In terms of like wanting my son, wanting my daughter to, but unrealistic in terms of the expectation of what that should look like or how that should play out. I think sometimes that not being aligned in their minds, it kind of sometimes automatically leads to some conflict or disconnect that isn't necessary. I think high school has almost gone to kind of this year-to-year approach to things, whereas before when we entered high school, I mean, when we went to high school, it was 10, 11, 12. There was junior high school, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's interesting. So they did 3 years junior and 3 years high school? Because I did 2 years junior, 7 and 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12 in high school. But for us, like, unless your family moved, like you're, a military family or something, everybody went to the same high school 4 years in a row. But nowadays, it's kind of like how kids are doing in college. If you are, say you're into sports and your kid is playing basketball, for instance, on the team and not getting enough play time, you're not going to leave your kid in there and have them like struggle and like climb up the ladder. Now you just move them to another high school, and you do that with colleges too. It's very different. I kind of like the old approach better because, I mean, if you all remember, Michael Jordan got cut from the his high school freshman team. He got cut. What'd that do? It made him work harder, and then by the next year he was on a team. But he wouldn't have learned any valuable lessons, and he wouldn't have been humbled if he would have just been like, oh, okay, I didn't make it here. Let's switch high schools, and I'll try out for another team.
Now high school is 4 years, but it's not necessarily viewed that way by players and parents. So if a kid comes to your school in the 9th grade, as a coach, the opportunity to work with that player for 4 years to help prepare him or prepare her for like going to college is like an important component to putting the right plan together to help the player or the person get there.
Yeah,
it is. It's like raising a kid. You can't, put 18 years worth of raising a kid in 1 year or 2 years. It's not going to happen. It's a journey. It's an evolution that has to happen naturally.
If you only have 9 months,
you ain't going to teach them crap.
Because if everything doesn't go the way parent-player expects it to go, and then they're going to go somewhere else, that's a completely different relationship, a completely different plan and program. And there is no program that in 9 months is going to create this picture for, your son or daughter that you expect. So that, to me, is the most challenging part. I find the kids themselves to be pretty easy to work with. But some of my, coaches and guys that I've gotten to know at the high school, they're like, look, man, you can't out-coach home.
Yeah.
And so the messaging coming from home, it's hard to out-coach and win that battle. And a lot of young guys feel that conflict of the messaging coming from home, the messaging coming from coach,
right,
and he's in the middle,
right. That's bad for the student, the player. The monkey in the middle.
It's tough.
Yeah,
makes it tough on the kid,
so a lot of it isn't even that. Sometimes the kid is acting out through his performance in a way that is more aligned with the coaching coming from home. Because that's who he has to ride home with.
Yeah. So
understand.
you're talking about that balance.
That's interesting.
You're coaching your kids. How do you balance dad and coach?
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So D-Fish, okay, so he's coaching his high school kid in high school. That's got to get tough.
One of the reasons why I had never really coached my kids before is to make sure that balance was always there. Like, I don't want us at home to not be on the same page because you still mad because I ain't put you in soon enough in the game yesterday, or I called you out in practice, so now your door closed, you don't want to talk to me.
It's all quiet at dinner time.
I never wanted that with any of my kids, so that's why I was like, nah, I'm not coaching them. But in making this decision and us talking as a family, we felt like they were old enough. I was old enough now, mature enough to like be able to separate that. And we keep it pretty separate. I mean, I do not want our sons to ever feel like they've disappointed me in any way in terms of how I view them and see them in this world and how much they are loved and adored by me based on
how they perform.
Some basketball-related performance thing.
Yeah.
So even in how I coach and talk to them and teach them, like I hold them accountable in practice and in the game. Like they get subbed out, they get called out on making poor decisions just like everybody else does. But just like other players, like, and as B knows too, like every player has a different way that you can or should or shouldn't hold them accountable for their sake, not because you can't call them out or hold them accountable. And so with my sons, like I know the tone that I need to use that will work for them to make sure that that barrier doesn't get crossed of like, hold up, like that's how he gonna talk to me in front of like in front of my classmates, in front of my best friends, like at a game in front of my girlfriend, he gonna talk to me like
yeah. That's true. Yeah. You teach them, but not pick on them. That's something from like my generation. There was a blurred line between, just picking on somebody and teaching them a lesson.
So I balance that very well, but I do that with the other guys as well.
Right. You have to.
I don't call his teammate out in a more aggressive, disrespectful tone than my own son. Like that doesn't fly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that hopefully has allowed parents and families who, there was a lot of concern when I initially accepted the job that it was all going to be daddy ball.
Yeah.
And the whole reason why I'm doing it is just so I can prop my sons up and make them look good. And that's just from people not knowing me.
Right.
Yeah.
And not understanding that, like, even with my own children, because I think it's best for their growth and development, I'm ultimately going to choose what's best for basketball, what's best for winning, and what's best for the team. And the individual person will always kind of come last in my book.
Yeah.
Like because that's what I feel like helped to shape me into what I became.
Yeah.
That there was no sacrifice for winning. There was no sacrifice for team. There was no sacrifice for doing what was required, that possession. So I'm not going to somehow then sugarcoat it for my sons and somehow try to make it easier for them, because then that's going to hurt them later.
That's true. It's always got to be about the team. What's best for the team, what helps the team win. And that, I mean, if you maintain that type of leadership in a team sport like this, then everyone starts paying attention who's not getting game time, and they start thinking, what can I do now to help this team win? And first guy who comes to my mind is Dennis Rodman, or Kurt Rambis is another one. What are you doing to make the team win, to help the team win? And sometimes that means getting scrappy, getting messy, being what we used to call like a garbage man back then. You got to do the dirty work sometimes. Someone's got to step in and do it. But if you got a guy scoring 30 points a game at the shooting guard position, and you're the backup shooting guard, and you're trying to knock that person down and get his time, I don't think it's going to work, because you already got that slot filled. Someone's already producing that. You got to produce something else. Help the team win. Dennis Rodman was amazing at that. Didn't care if he averaged 4 points a game. He was out there playing solid defense, getting rebounds, blocking shots, being a pest on the court. And guess what? He was a starter.
I'd rather make it harder. So, no, you're not going to start every game, bro.
Yeah,
just because I'm coaching.
Yeah.
You're going to come off the bench, too.
Yeah.
You're going to earn your minutes too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's all the same.
Produce.
The only difference is we go home together sometimes, but not because I'm treating him as a favorite.
Yeah.
Or he's allowed to get away with things that his teammates aren't. Like that's not true. Never will be true. You know, for those people that thought it was going to be that way and will always find a reason to say it was.
Yeah.
That's for them. That's their stuff.
Right.
That has nothing to do with me.
Right. Well, D-Fish, I know the last thing I want to say to you is I don't know if a lot of people know, D-Fish just turned 50 not too long ago.
Yes, sir.
And Glory, his beautiful wife, invited me and my wife to celebrate his 50th with him, and we had a ball, had a lot of fun. And he still look good for 50 years old.
Yeah. He's looking
still
fit.
Look good for 50 years. So all y'all out there that didn't know, wish D-Fish a happy birthday, a belated happy birthday, because the man just hit the big 5-0. And D, man, just appreciate you, brother. I love you like a younger brother.
Yes, sir.
Because he is a little younger than me.
Yep.
And you always got a place in my heart, dog.
Yeah, thank you, B.
You family.
Same here,
That's for
man.
sure.
I got a question for both of you guys, though.
Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah.
Leadership, both of y'all, toughness, clutch playmaking for the Lakers. Does number 2 and number 4 belong up in the rafters?
I'm going to say, yeah. And again, it's, when you look at the Hall of Fame, they've gotten away from.
Byron's got what? 4? Was he there for 4 of the Lakers championships? Man, it might even be more. Because he was part of the Kobe and Shaq Lakers too. I'm not sure if he was still there when they actually started winning rings anymore. But he was there with the Showtime Lakers with Magic. Man, and D-Fish he was there for what, 5? I think they should be up there on the rafters, tell you the truth. Any other team but the Lakers, they would be up there. But the Lakers have like the craziest, amazing legends of the game. Their jerseys retired. They've been spoiled over there in LA.
All about numbers now. It's what you've been able to accomplish in the league. It's what you've been able to accomplish in the basketball world, what you've been like in the community. It's a little bit of being more well-rounded. Mm-hmm. So, 5 championships, 19 years. I mean.
5 then.
Yeah.
I mean, because, listen.
Oh, D-Fish.
Powell got up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got 2 rings.
Yeah. That's the Hall of Fame thing. Like that automatic bridge gets crossed with the Hall of Fame induction. And that's fair. That's what separates the Lakers from a lot of other organizations, that the only guys up there are in the Hall of Fame. That's fair.
That's right.
Now, for us to go up there, Michael Cooper has to go up there first.
Who is going up
there
Yep.
due to the Hall of Fame bridge that was crossed.
Yeah.
Whether that changes or not, to me, that distinction can always remain. Like we don't necessarily have to change the distinction. But what should change is that some other organizations have, whether it's a ring of honor or something that creates still that separation and distinction between guys that right now be in a big pot of guys that just play for the Lakers.
Yeah.
So what separation can you create for guys that have much more impact than just playing a couple years for the Lakers and thank you for your service? Like, what more can be done to actually show the love of how Byron Scott impacted the organization?
That's true. I saw the Bulls recently did a Ring of Honor, and then the Suns over here, we did a Ring of Honor as well for the Nash-led Suns. I think it was the 05 or 06 team. Yeah, I mean, at least that's a good idea to show your appreciation in front of the fans and have a little ceremony for everybody.
As a player and as a coach, as a champion, still as a ambassador in the community, still carrying the legacy, like something can be done to celebrate that, in my opinion.
So the answer is still the same.
For both of you guys,
that's what I'm saying.
the answer is the same.
Yeah, they both should be, though.
Well, thank you, D-Fish, for coming through. This is another episode, Byron Scott's Fast Break. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, Jay. Good to see you, man.
Yep.
Likewise.
Fish.
Yeah, thank you guys, man.
Yes,
Love
sir.
you guys too.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Byron Scott's.
Yeah, this is cool. This is cool. Kid J is the name of the host. Sorry, I got lost in thought there, man. I really do believe both of them should have their numbers retired. They both represent the two most successful eras of Laker history, where just endless championships were coming in. You know, D Fish in the Kobe era, and Byron Scott in the Magic era, and then Byron Scott also coming back and coaching. Like, they so deserve it. They really, really, really deserve that. But anyways, guys, I thought this was a really interesting podcast. The Kobe stories were really interesting. I never heard about that story about him locking himself in the bathroom, like realizing that it's been since 2003, and this was 5 years later, and he's still not going to win that ring, and having to accept that. And then Derek Fisher's stories about load management was actually really interesting, because I've been hearing from a lot of people that they're not practicing nearly as much as they used to. So you combine the no practice, or the less practice, and then actually playing way less games. Like, nobody plays 82 anymore. It makes sense why these bodies are lasting longer. But it's interesting because the goal of the sport used to be to win a championship, win now. And now, guys are getting paid like, $50, $60 million a year, but they're encouraged to make their careers last longer, even if that's at the sacrifice of not winning. So it's weird. It's almost like cumulative stats are becoming more important than actually the purpose of the game, which was to win the game. I don't know. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on it. And kind of put some perspective of what I'm disliking about the current game and why. And this is a mindset that's across the board in the entire league. Why play now if I can rest and then maybe play an extra year of my career? And it just kind of goes against everything I was taught, everything I was raised on. But anyways, yeah, let me know what your guys' takes are. Thanks for watching this with me. Please leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if you didn't. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this. And I will see you all very soon. All right, peace out. Be good to your loved ones, all right?